And I'm gonna be real, bro. As a man, bro, I advise you, bro, go hear your dad's side of the story. I'm not saying he couldn't be fucked up. I'm not saying he couldn't have left you for no reason. I'm not saying that he couldn't have been a bad person. He couldn't have made a mistake. None of that. But I advise you just go hear his side of the story and decide from there. Cause I ain't gonna lie, I hear this happen so often, and like it kind of fucked me up every time I'm hearing it, cause it's like it's fucked up. But it'll be a dude he wanna be in his kid life, like he wanna be an active father. And you got a baby mom for whatever reason. Maybe she petty about the new girl, trying to teach him a lesson, trying to use it as an opportunity to get more money. Or she could just be a bad person and she kind of used the kid as leverage against the dude, trying to control him, and he gotta say and do everything she want, or she gonna take the kid away from him. And I get what y'all saying. Go to court, go to court, go to court. Go look at the percentages on that. And a lot of dudes, it's not even that they don't want to pay child support. They just don't want to give her the money. They don't mind spending a bag on their kids. They just don't want to get you the money. All I'm saying, it's a lot of dudes out there. If you was to go sit down, and I'm talking about have a good conversation with your pops, bro, you wouldn't even be mad at bro no more.
The funniest thing was him saying, go check the numbers. And we did check the numbers, and we know that the courts actually favor men when they show up and fight for their kids. Only 1.5% of all child custody cases actually go all the way through to the end. And the reason why is because it's a couple reasons. A, they get settled prior to getting completed. So they go through mediation, because there's levels to it. You got to go through mediation first, and then it goes to in front of a judge, and which the mediator is usually still involved. And so the judge may not even rule on that one. But when it gets to the point of the judge, the vast majority of the time, the men don't complete the process. Just so we're clear. Yeah, this dude is just so far off. Now, I brought this back up because I did a video on this recently, but I wanted to get more in detail because I came across this other video and I'm about to show you guys, and I was like, we got to talk about this. This is crazy. I've heard this growing up from plenty of men talking about, go ask your daddy, go find out the full story from your daddy, right? And really, it's just another way for y'all to try to blame women and scapegoat women and make women out to be the villains, when in reality, it's the men, because this shit makes zero fucking sense. You can't do this trend with mothers. You can't do this trend with mothers. You can't. Go ask your mama why she's not in your life. Go ask your mama what happened. She ain't in your life. How many mothers aren't in their children's lives? The percentage is so goddamn low. This trend is crazy. It don't work. It doesn't work. Let's just be so fucking for real. And the fact that y'all can't connect that dot as to why it's pretty much only fathers that we're having this thing about, and not connecting the dot that, so that would actually prove that it's the men that are the common denominator, not the women. It's wild to me that you aren't able to connect that dot. Because then when you flip it around, the mothers are still involved. The mothers are there. And there's not many mothers who don't fight for their kids, even though they lose the majority of the time. Meaning the fathers get what the fathers want, and the mothers don't get what the mothers want. Just so you know. Crazy.
Before I say what I'm going to say, no discrediting to any mother out there. I know mothers, you do the best that you can. You've done the best that you can to raise your children and to make sure that they never go without. So shout out to y'all. But that to the side. If you are an adult or you of age to understand.
This is reeking of, with all due respect, and then it's about to be completely disrespectful.
Get your dad's side of the story. Like, if your parents are no longer together, or you haven't seen your dad, or your dad wasn't around, just get your dad's side of the story, and then put them both together, and then make your decision, or come up with your own conclusion of what really happened, or try to change your perspective or your viewpoint of everything in totality. Just get all the information that you can, but really hear your dad's side of the story. So I grew up with abandonment issues. My dad wasn't in my life. He pretty much dealt with me.
Why'd you put that in in quotation marks. Your dad, is he not your dad, or is he your fictitious dad? What is he, your stepdaddy? What you mean?
Whenever he felt like it. Birthdays, a lot of birthdays, I cried to myself because I wouldn't hear from him. Or sometimes I would hear my mom on the phone begging him to call me and wish me a happy birthday, things of that nature. Or I would call him growing up, and he would kind of like pick and choose when he felt like dealing with me. It was one of those things. And I dealt with a lot of issues in the mirror because he didn't look like me. Like, he was light-skinned with pretty hair with a big nose, and I hated myself because I didn't look like him, and I thought that was the reason that he didn't want me. And I thought that was the reason that he didn't reach out to me, didn't want to spend time with me, really. And any time that we did spend time together, it was like a disconnect. It just...
I have not watched this video all the way through. I got the gist of it at the beginning, but I told you I like to react to it in real time. I got a feeling where this is about to go. This is about to go to, I found out he ain't my real daddy. That's what I'm getting. I don't know. Let's see.
It didn't feel like he was my father. But on a random Thanksgiving one year, when I was 20 years old, I had some issues going on, so he said, come through and just come talk to me. So when we were talking, he said, hey, listen, I just want to talk to you about some things about the past. And I'm thinking like, okay, he's going to make some excuses and things of that nature. So he gives me the backstory about him and my mom, their marriage and things of that nature. And then it led him and I to come to a conclusion of he may not be my father. So we did a DNA test and come to find out he's not my fucking father.
So why wouldn't he had done this before? You could have got a DNA test at any point in time. Why did it take him until you were 20 years old for him to do this? You see what I'm saying? Like, just like, this is not to excuse the behavior of the mom. If she cheated on him, if this was an act of infidelity or something like that, then fine, right? Like, let's hold her accountable for that. No doubt about it. But I'm saying to the why did it take for you to be 20 years old? He could have got a DNA test a long ass fucking time ago. Long time ago.
So ultimately, I was mad and angry at this man until I was 20 years old, and had resentment built up for this man, and he was never even my fucking father.
Mm-hmm.
He was never my father. And I had abandonment issues that I still deal with to this day as a 34-year-old man because of that. But long story short, that led to me meeting my real father and being able to see where I came from. And it led to me no longer hating what I saw in the mirror. Because when I did meet my father and he looked just like me, everything clicked. It was energy. It was electric. I felt like he was my father. So it helped me going forward now as almost 34-year-old man. I can learn, and I've been learning to love what I see in the mirror. And
did this father have an idea that he might have had a baby and he never followed up on it? Like, he was totally oblivious? What happened there?
Sometimes that little boy comes back out, but then I remind him that, hey, listen, no, that wasn't our father. That wasn't our fault. And you should love yourself. You should look in the mirror and remember that this is your father. No shade. Just get the backstory. Get your dad's side, man.
Now, a couple things. A, it still sounds like these men failed you. That's just me. Along with your mother. Along with your mom. It sounds like the adults in your life failed you. Both of the men, right? Because you haven't told me that man slept with your mother. He had no idea that your mother was pregnant. Maybe she hid it from him. I don't know. Right? Maybe she tried to force the baby on this man. I don't fucking know. Maybe she got it wrong. I don't know. You know what I mean? Maybe. Right? I'll accept any of that at this point. But he should have been got a DNA test, put that shit to rest, which would have made you at a younger age or and your mom have to go out and find your real daddy. You know what I'm saying? Or she could have got you a DNA test to make sure that was your dad. You know what I mean? Like, they failed you collectively. Them two, initially, they failed you. Then the other man probably failed you too, because he never gave a fuck if he had a kid out there. And so, yeah. And then lastly, this isn't common. Like, his story isn't common. I'm not saying you should definitely ask your dad. But I'm saying this story isn't common. And the thing that I hate about these types of stories is that all you need is a little bit of this. All you need is one of these stories for all the men to glom on and latch on to and act like this is the norm. They'll push this as the norm, right? When this is the fucking most extreme outlier scenario, without a doubt. Like, this is so not common.
Hey, Dad, let me ask you a question.
What?
Why
What you
you
want?
and Mom get divorced? Like, what was the real reason? Like, I ain't never heard your side of the story.
Hell. You ain't ready for that story. You don't. You. If I tell you, are you ready for it? Because if I tell
No,
you,
I'm ready.
The way y'all would get up here and satellite y'all mama's names, the way y'all would get up here and soil and sully the image of your own mamas to protect the man that didn't give a fuck about you is crazy. It's disgusting.
For it. I'm ready for it. What
okay,
happened?
if I tell you, you have to understand that this is my wife. This ain't your mama. Pretend she a woman off the street. Pretend you ain't my son. You
All
just
right.
another man I'm telling. Okay. Can you do that?
All right.
Okay. So for about 4 months, I'm working 16-hour shifts. Your mama not working. I come home, she ain't cooking no dinner. She comfortable, she don't even greet me. About 2 months into that, we have an argument because I ain't taking her on no vacation for her birthday. She stopped sleeping with me. So I start accepting meals from the little honey that work in the office up front at my job. Now you tell me, 6 months in, you ain't getting no food, you ain't getting no booty. What would you do?
I
What
probably
would you do? Tell me.
I probably would have did the same thing.
Right, as a man, right? So I ain't sleeping with her. I'm just accepting the little lady bringing me food. She bring my lunch to my lunch, okay? Your mama come up there.
Why not you make your own fucking lunch? I know this is a dumbass skit, right? This is not even real. But again, he's listening to his father tell his father's side of the story. Now that you get this piece, right? Because I can tell you already there's a big ass chunk missing. Why would your mom just start treating your dad like that? Are you just telling me she just flipped the switch and she just went crazy and she lazy and she was juicing him for his money? You believe that about your mama? The same woman that raised you, that sacrificed everything for you. But for this man, she didn't, the father of her children, she was just like, nah, nigga, you get Nathan. Just out of nowhere. Bet.
Tripping. Punch me in the face, get me fired from my job and all that. I'll come
And she abusive, allegedly, now, right? And she abusive.
home, she start cussing me out because I ain't got a job. 3 months
She
later.
did that?
3 months later, she cussing me out because I ain't got a job. Now I can't pay all the bills because she didn't came up to the front tripping. Now you tell me, you didn't dealt with this for a year. As a man, you dealt with it for a year. I'm not gonna say what happened or what would you do?
I'd be tripping. Yeah, I'd be tripping for sure, Dad.
Okay. So you, in your words, you saying it. I ain't saying it. You tripping. Okay. So.
And I know that was supposed to be a skit, and that's a dumbass skit. Don't get me wrong. But this is why, if you look at like the rate pyramid, on it has like jokes and stuff. This would be like an example of that. Because it's supposed to be like jokes. He put a little laughing emoji in there and stuff like that. You know, it's not his story, whatever, right? He'll hide behind that. It's just a joke. But the image that he is painting of women is one that women are just bitter, jealous, vindictive human beings that are also violent. And he is rationalizing it to his alleged son in this scenario, saying things like, oh, so what would you do? You would handle it just like me, right? You know what I'm saying? Which all the men are in the comments going, yeah, I would handle it the same way, gassing themselves up. The story is still one-sided. You don't have any better understanding of what happened. He is telling you the way that he perceived it. He is painting himself out to be a victim. And this is what the men do. He ain't lying. This is spot on, though. This is how men be acting. They omit every fucking thing that they done. But ask the man. You never asked him one time, but Dad, did you do anything? You just sitting there going, yeah, I'll trip too. Yeah, Dad. No, I hear you, Dad. Women be tripping. I'll trip too. You never thought to ask your daddy, okay, but I know mama, she not like that. I never got that from her. Why do you think she would do that? Oh, I don't know. She just out of nowhere. Oh, okay. You don't have any clue. Hey, mama, daddy told me, boo. Is that true? Yeah, son, that happened. But look, let me tell you, that man ignored me for 16 for 6 months straight. He he neglected me. I had to beg him to give me $5. You know what I'm saying? I would ask him, I would ask him for gas money. He would say, put $3 in your tank, you don't need to go nowhere. He was doing all of these abusive things. He was lying to me. He wasn't being vulnerable. All of this stuff. She'll lay it all out for you. Now you gonna give your mama the same grace? No, I'll be tripping. No, I understand why women, the vast majority of the time, are reacting to abuse. When they act the way that this man was describing in this dumbass skit, they are reacting to stuff that men are doing to them. They don't just wake up one day and just do that. That's that's not what it is. And this is your own mother, allegedly, I'm saying in this skit. You let a random man, even though he's your daddy, you let some nigga that wasn't in your life as much as your mama convince you that your mama was this totally different person? Yeah, y'all really are dumb and gullible. So explain this to me, by the way. Because I found this all in the same vicinity, right? But this is why I find it funny. Because how can this be true? The video I'm about to play, right? How can this be true? But also, we have all of these absentee father stories. Nobody is denying that the fathers are absentee at this point. If you peep what's going on, none of the men are like, man, your daddy was really there. Stop lying. Nobody is saying. Everybody's like, no. We get it. He wasn't there, but just ask him why. See what I'm saying? But when people like me, when I have these conversations, I talk about how neglectful fathers are. This is how men like to respond. This is specifically black men, but this is how men like to respond.
75% of black fathers are active in their kids. 75% of black fathers.
He says 75% of black fathers are active. Okay.
Of black fathers are active in their kids' lives. But there's only so much a man gonna tolerate from a woman. Only so much. So we go with the narrative, oh, your daddy wasn't there. Nobody asked the daddy. Everybody get the story from mom. Nobody ever asked daddy what happened.
75% of black fathers are active. What does active actually mean? What does active actually mean? But by the way, 25% not active, 1 out of 4, is fucking astronomically high. 1 out of 4? 1 out of 10 would be high. 1 out of 4 is fucking crazy. So even by your own metric, black fathers, if you want to do that, are fucking failing. 1 out of 4? 1 out of 4 is, oh my God. I don't know if you understand how ridiculous that is. And it doesn't go from being an absentee father to being neglectful. Being absentee father to being involved. That's not how it goes, right? There are levels to it. So what level is the involvement? Day to day, are you saying 75% of black fathers are involved in day-to-day activities with their kids? That's a fucking lie. That's a fucking lie. That's a goddamn lie. Maybe 25% is active daily. Maybe 30% is active daily. Maybe. Fuck it. I'll go, look, 50%. Maybe 50% is active daily. But then that means that there's another, that means, so we already got the 25% that ain't there at all. Now you got to add another 25% that's barely there or rarely there. Inconsistently there. There when they want to. On the weekend, whatever. Now you got half the kids. That's crazy. Then let's add to that the men that are there, but then they're abusive. The men that are there, but they're harmful. They're toxic. What percentage out of the 50%? Out of the 100%, what percentage is that? Another 25, probably 30%. So you see quickly now you're down to 20% of fathers are decent human beings and active in their kids' lives. But my point is, how in the fuck can this be true, but also this whole narrative that fathers are that there's how can this be true, what this man was talking about, but then we also have whole threads of men talking about, just go ask your daddy, go ask him his side of the story. It shouldn't be that many. It shouldn't be that many. We shouldn't be able to start whole threads, like I said, because there isn't one for women for a reason. Because they're there. Because they're there. And they don't make excuses. Lastly, let's get to it. This is what we all came to see. A real story. A real story. The story that actually reflects the vast majority of men who abandon their kids.
So I keep seeing TikToks about ask your dad side of the story. You don't hate him as much as you think you do. And I just want to share with y'all what happened when I actually did ask my dad his side of the story. So for context, I would consider my father an absent father. I've seen him maybe 6 times my entire life, including up until adulthood. My longest stint was maybe 2 weeks when he came to try to work it out with my mom while we lived in Bellwood. I know he was on child support up until he got disability. I can only remember him being around for maybe one birthday or one Christmas. Other than that, he never called for birthdays, never sent any Christmas gifts. So fast forward, I'm 30 with a 6-month-old. I'm a 24/7, 365 dad, and I'm having trouble. And me and him were on the phone one day, and I was like, I see why men don't do this. I made a passive-aggressive remark, and he was like, well, I didn't get a chance to do that. So, of course, I asked him to elaborate, and he says that him and my mom have their secrets, and that he didn't get a chance to do it, and that's where he's going to leave it. So I never got my answer directly, but through other questions, I finally got his reasons or excuses to why he wasn't around. So his excuses, besides that he didn't get a chance to do it, was that my mom was money hungry, that the women that he had children with after my mom didn't want him to be a father to his previous children, that he wasn't financially stable in Illinois, which caused him to move to Florida, which put the big gap in between us. And then lastly, that my grandpa told him that as long as he left us a number to call, that he did right by us. So I asked him, in between the time that Grandpa gave you the advice and now, you didn't think to yourself that your kids need more than just a number to call? And he was like, you wanted the answer and you got it, that's that. I told him, thank you for being honest, and we haven't talked since. I can forgive him, but I can't have a relationship with him. I'm going to give you a part 2 on why I feel so strongly about not having a relationship with him.
Boom. That's the real story. That's what really be happening. Nothing but a bunch of hollow excuses. Vague innuendos. We got our secrets. Like what, nigga? Stop. The secret your mama protecting your daddy. That's the secret. Now, with all of this being said, let me tell you, I'm gonna give you guys my story. I feel like it's a perfect time to tell y'all my story. So, when I was 6 years old, my mama and my daddy got divorced, right? My mama kicked my daddy out the house. And I didn't know why for a long time, right? I never actually, like, really even asked, like, in my youth. Like, he just wasn't there, you know what I'm saying? I just never asked. It was just like, you know. And I don't know how I felt. I don't know what damage it did to me. I really can't. I don't know. Like I don't remember crying about it. I don't remember being like sad or distraught that he wasn't there or like anything. And my dad was an involved dad. Like he was a stay-at-home dad. You know what I mean? For the most part, because he was doing illicit things, right? We ain't gonna say what those was at the time, but I grew up in the projects in the 80s. So there's that. But yeah, my dad was, I remember my dad being in my life. I remember building model planes with my dad. And, my dad used to play a lot of reggae and, things of that nature, right? And he had friends over and we would visit people together and he took me to school every day. That's what I remember about my dad prior to him getting, him getting kicked out by my mama for what he did. And what he did was he cheated on my mom, right? He cheated on my mother. And that was bad. And I think my mama would have stayed with him at least for some time because she already knew he was cheating. But what the straw that broke the camel's back was when she found out that my father had inappropriate contact with my sister, right? And I told this story on the other videos, but I like to tell it every single time because I don't know who sees these, right? It could be different people seeing these. So I want them to know, here's my story, right? Now, that's why my father and my mom got divorced. That's when my mama left my daddy, right? So she should have went no contact. That man should have been in prison, whatever, right? But she didn't, and you know, so he was allowed to, you know, remain in my life as he saw fit when he wanted to. And from there, the time that we spent together just dropped off significantly. Like, I remember my dad being there until I would say about the age of 10, 8, 9, maybe 8, 9-ish. And then he moved away, 8 hours away to the Bay Area. He got a new girl. I went up there, new woman. I went up there and stayed with him for a few, you know, spring break. I don't remember what it was. I was about 10 years old. I went up there and stayed with him, his new woman, and their child. But, you know, he wasn't in my life at that point consistently. And it really fell off after that. Like, once I came home, like, I mean, from there, it was like, you know, I would talk to him a couple times a year type stuff. And then there'd be times when I would see him, you know, 3 or 4 times a week for 2 months. And then I wouldn't physically see him for a year, you know, and I would talk to him once every 6 months, you know, no money the whole time, by the way. No money is being sent. No money, not consistently. No money is being sent. No help is being offered, nothing like that. So let me put that out there, right? So eventually, you know, fast forward, I'm a grown man now, right? I got my own kids. And I just couldn't wrap my brain around how a man could abandon their own kid. Like, I was just like, how the fuck could you abandon your children? That shit is crazy to me. And I talked to my dad several times, right? And he never gave me a reason. He never blamed my mom. He would always say my mom was like an angel and she was perfect and she never did anything wrong. Like, that's what my dad said about my mama. So these other nigga stories about they dad, you know, about how they would try to throw their mamas under the bus and shit. My daddy never did that, right? But he also never took accountability. He never said, this is what he never just came out and was like, I was cheating on your mom. I was an abuser. I didn't want to work. You know what I'm saying? Like, he never said anything like that, right? I would get it bits and pieces in our conversations. I didn't find out what he had done to my sister until I was in my teenage years. I didn't really process it until I was in my early 20s. Started talking to him about it when I was in my early 20s. He made every excuse under the sun for that. He never took accountability for what he did. He never took accountability for cheating on my mom with other women. Ever. He never took accountability for not paying child support. But one day I was talking to my mom, and just in conversation, she said, yeah, you know what your daddy told me one day? And I was like, nah. She said, you were young. You were, you know, this right when we were getting divorced or during the divorce or right after. She said, that man told me that if I ever came after him for a divorce, I would never get a red cent. He would quit his job and never work a job again. And I would never pay you child support. Mind you, this is the man that abused my mama, abused my sister, abandoned me, abandoned my brother. But he was mad. He didn't see fit to take care of his own child, right? But I haven't spoken to my father in years. Like, I haven't had a real conversation with him. So I found this out later. But I guarantee you, if I asked him why he wouldn't want to pay, I know him. He would blame it on the system and his fear of the system, or his apprehension or his disgust of the system. Oh, you putting a black man on child support. But but why did that stop you from paying child support? My mom never put you on child support, right? Cool. But why didn't you ever pay it? See what I'm saying? So as a grown man with my own kids, I can't ever make an excuse for my father, and I will never make an excuse for none of you other niggas, ever. None of you other men, y'all will never be able to tell me or convince me that it was the woman. I don't give a fuck. I don't tell that shit to somebody else. So yeah, y'all can go ask y'all daddies why. But really all y'all looking for is solace, right? You want that man to tell you what you want to hear. I know he didn't just abandon me. So when he tells you it was your mama's fault, you are even willing to accept that it was the woman who raised you, loved you, nurtured you, cared for you, and sacrificed for you. You would rather believe that she's the villain than believe it's the man that abandoned you. And that's the cold reality about it, man. That's the sickest part.